Thomas Edison once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." But before he became the man who lit up the world, he was a small boy who almost got left in the dark. This is the true story of the boy who wouldn't stop asking why, the mother who refused to give up on him, and the legend of a letter that still inspires millions. Thomas Alva Edison was born in 1847 in a small town called Milan, Ohio. He was the youngest of 7 children, restless, curious, always tinkering, always wondering. From the moment he could talk, he was full of questions, big questions. How does the wind move the trees? Why does lightning split the sky? He wanted to know everything, and that hunger to understand never went away. But the world around him didn't know what to do with a mind like that. At school, young Thomas struggled to fit in. He was distracted, impatient, and endlessly curious. His teacher grew frustrated, calling him addled, meaning confused or slow. One day, after only a few months in class, Edison came home in tears. His teacher had told him he wasn't smart enough to stay, and that's where one of the most touching legends about Edison begins. As the story goes, the boy handed his mother a sealed envelope from the school. He said softly, "My teacher told me to give you this letter, but only you must read it." Nancy Edison opened it, read silently, and tears filled her eyes. Then she smiled through them and read aloud, "Your son is a genius. Our school is too limited to teach him, and we don't have the resources he deserves. Please educate him yourself." So she did. She taught him at home, filled the house with books, and turned every day into a lesson. Years later, after his mother had passed away, the grown Edison found that same letter tucked away in a drawer. He opened it again and read the real words. "Your son is unfit for school. He is mentally deficient. We cannot keep him." Edison cried for hours, then wrote in his diary, "Thomas Edison was once a child thought to be deficient, who, thanks to a remarkable mother, became a genius." It's a beautiful story, one that speaks to the power of belief. But historians now agree, the letter never existed. It's a myth, a story that spread many years after Edison's death. And yet, while the details are fiction, the message is true. Because Nancy Edison really did take her son out of school when others gave up on him. She really did teach him herself, and her faith in him was the single spark that changed the world. Nancy Edison wasn't a scholar, but she understood something no textbook could teach. Curiosity is not a flaw, it is a flame. She encouraged her son to question everything, to read everything, to never stop learning. She once said she trained him to think he was capable of doing anything, and Thomas believed her. He built his first laboratory in the family's basement. He used bottles, wires, and bits of metal he found in the yard. He filled the air with smoke and strange smells, but Nancy never scolded him. She smiled and said, "At least he's learning." That small act of faith, that belief in curiosity, was the seed of genius. By age 12, Edison was selling newspapers on trains, but he didn't stop there. He built a printing press in the baggage car and created one of the first train-published newspapers, the Grand Trunk Herald. He used every minute to experiment, to read, to learn about electricity and sound. One day, while experimenting, he accidentally set fire to a train car. He was thrown off and banned for life. But even that couldn't stop him. He became a telegraph operator, sending coded messages across long distances, fascinated by the magic of invisible energy traveling through wires. That fascination soon became his life's work, harnessing electricity itself. Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." It wasn't arrogance, it was faith. Faith in the process, in perseverance, and in the lessons his mother taught him. By his 30s, he had already changed the world once. The phonograph, the first machine that could record and replay sound, left people stunned. Then came the electric light bulb, an invention that would define human progress. For 2 years, he worked without rest. He and his team tested thousands of materials for the perfect filament. Bamboo, cotton thread, carbonized paper, failure after failure. But Edison refused to quit. He said, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." Finally, one winter night in 1879, The bulb stayed lit. For hours. It glowed softly in the dark, steady and warm. The first true light of the modern world. Cities soon blazed with electric light. The age of darkness was over. Thomas Edison became one of the greatest inventors in history, with over 1,000 patents. The phonograph, the motion picture camera, the electric power grid, all were born from the hands of a boy once told he couldn't to learn. And through all of it, Edison never forgot the woman who saw his potential before anyone else did. He said, "My mother was the making of me. She was so true, so sure of me, that I felt I had someone to live for." That is the real heart of the Edison story. Not a letter in an envelope, but a message written in love. Not fiction, but faith. Because even if that letter never existed, the belief behind it did. Nancy Edison believed her son was a genius before the world ever saw the proof. And that belief became prophecy. Edison's life teaches us something timeless. That genius begins not with talent, but with trust. Trust in curiosity. Trust in persistence. And trust in the people who see the light in us before we can see it ourselves. If Nancy had accepted that teacher's judgment, if she had let the world label her son, history might have lost one of its brightest lights. Instead, she chose faith. And that faith lit up the world. So maybe the letter isn't history. Maybe it's something better. A symbol of what belief can do. Because every dreamer needs a Nancy Edison. And every Nancy Edison reminds the world that one voice of encouragement can change everything. Thomas Edison once said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. And sometimes, that one more time is all it takes."